Chapter 7, Scatterplots, Association, and Correlation. Here are your links for extra help. Objectives. The students will analyze patterns in scatterplots. The students will assess the linearity of data. The student will calculate the coefficients of correlation and determination. The student will determine the equation of the least squares line. The student will make predictions using the least squares regression line. The student will analyze residual plots for patterns. The student will analyze the effect of outliers and influential points on the least squares regression line. The student will transform data to achieve linearity, including logarithmic and power transformations. And then these are your videos if you need more help. This includes the video on your homework, the AP question, and the quiz. Scatterplots. Scatterplots are a graph in which the values of two variables are plotted along two axes, the pattern of the resulting points revealing any correlation present. Scatterplots are used to plot data points on a horizontal and vertical axis in the attempt to show how much one variable is affected by another. Each row in the data table is represented by a marker whose position depends on its value in the column set on the x and y axis. Explanatory variable, also known as the predictor, is the x variable. Response variable, this is the variable of interest, is the y variable. Here are some examples of scatter plots. Association. Association has to do with direction, form, and strength. Direction. The direction is either positive or negative. If the direction is positive, the variable increases together, where if they are negative, one variable is generally decreasing. Form. The straighter the line is, the closer the association is between the two variables. This means that there is either a strong positive or negative association. Describe any visible patterns if present. Strength. The strength shows how strong the association is between the variables, given there is little scatter. Correlation. The correlation is made of co, which means together, and relation. Correlation is a positive when the values increase together, and correlation is negative when one value decreases as the other increases. Correlation is measured on a scale of 1 to 1. Conditions. Quantitative variables condition. Correlation only applies to quantitative variables. Straight enough condition is when the form of the scatterplot is straight enough that the scatterplot makes sense. Outlier condition. Outliers can distort the correlation dramatically. Outliers can make a weak correlation look strong. Often, best to report correlation with and without outliers. In conclusion, association and correlation is used throughout statistics because you can't assume a certain outcome based on an experiment. You have to test the correlation. An example would be students with high GPAs don't always do their homework. When there's strong correlation, it is safe to assume association. Just because there is a high correlation does not mean causation. Lurking variables can also affect how high or low the correlation is for the data set. Scatterplots are the basic tool for examining the relationship between two quantitative variables. Relation to other topics. In relation to other topics, scatterplots are necessary for many other statistics topics. Scatterplots are one of the many forms used to present data. Such topics include association and correlation, which relates to linear regression, regression wisdom, and regression expressing data. You can find these topics in chapters 8, 9, and 10. What you should have learned from this PowerPoint. You should have learned the difference between association and correlation, conditions for correlation and know how to check them, how to compute correlation for two variables, how to describe scatterplots, direction, form, and strength, how to be able to interpret the correlation between -1 and 1, and how to identify the variables, response, and explanatory. Here are the homework problems to go along with this chapter. And here is the link for the AP practice. If you'd like more help, here is a link to an activity to help you practice your scatter plot knowledge.